Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Hey there, good morning. It is Monday, July 22nd.
It was a big news weekend, but first let's get to weather because today was kind of nice.
It is a nice day out there.
Not bad to start, and I think by the afternoon you're really going to like the forecast if you like rain, which most of us do this time of year. We've got some of the forecasts. In fact, I think we're going to see some heavy downpours. It's going to be all about timing, though. Let's first start with the setup. So we've got a frontal boundary off to our north. It's already kicking up showers and storms up there around Junction and Ozona. This is going to slowly shift south through the day. So the question is, kind of how fast does this stuff move in our direction? It may take some time, but we think by the afternoon we'll start to see showers and storms developing here around San Antonio. In the meantime, just north of Rock Springs, we've got some pretty good downpours starting to take shape. You see some of the lightning strikes there that are already showing up. So we know this is pretty robust activity that'll drop some good rain. And there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere today. So whatever storm, downpour that does develop, it's going to put down some very heavy rain. And so there could be some street flooding too in spots. Once we get these rain chances a little bit higher. And I think that happens this afternoon. 60% chance here in San Antonio, and that may continue after sunset too. That's what the models are kind of indicating. And then we'll get another round coming up tomorrow. We're going to talk much more about how long this rain's going to stick around, how much we could see. That's all coming up in just a couple minutes. But I think we're going to take a quick look at traffic now with TransGuide. And it's pretty smooth sailing around the city this morning.
It is pretty smooth sailing, Justin, out there. The only thing I saw earlier was 410 West at Paramvidal. There was a minor collision out there blocking a couple of lanes, but everything else looks good out there. Remember to drive safely out there.
Now we're switching gears. President Biden dropping out of the race is obviously the big story, making headlines right now.
And all morning, we have been asking you, what do you think? This is our poll question right now. Do you support President Biden's decision to step away from the race to the White House? You can vote right now by scanning that QR code right there on the bottom of your screen. And you can see 88% of those who have voted already are saying, yes, they support this decision. And you can vote right now on ksat.com/poll. And while you vote, we're sharing how President Biden's decision to step aside is really influencing people here in San Antonio. Devin Karp joins us now with what some local lawmakers are saying so far. Devin.
Yeah, good morning, guys. You know, this is a story we've been following all weekend, and we're able to hear from both local Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez and Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro, who are giving their opinions about what happens next on the Democratic side of things. Castro has taken the time to honor President Biden while supporting Harris as the next Democratic nominee.
The president has a lot to be proud of. He has truly been a transformational leader for the United States of America. And I could believe that he'll continue to do great things during the remaining time of his term. And I'm also proud today to support Kamala Harris for the presidency of the United States. I hope the Democrats will rally around and support the vice president, hopefully as she becomes the nominee.
Meanwhile, last night on the Night Beat, Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez told us that their Democrats are going to have to try to think outside the box if they want to defeat Donald Trump in the race for the White House.
I think the story should be what has President Obama said, right? If you want to talk about somebody that's going to change the scope of the race, it's Michelle Obama, right? To me, that's the elephant in the room that nobody's talking about. Yes, the Clintons came out. Yes, Biden came out. But has President Obama come out? Why? They kind of left that door open there. If someone were to challenge President Trump in any way, I think it's that Michelle Obama outside the box type of ignite. It's not going to be the vice president. It's not going to be Harris.
Now, as Congressman Gonzalez mentioned, Barack Obama did not directly mention Kamala Harris in his latest statement. He did say in part, quote, "I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. For now, Michelle and I just want to express our love and gratitude to Joe and Jill for leading us so ably and courageously during these perilous times and for their commitment to the ideals of freedom and equality that this country was founded on." Now, many other Republicans are calling this a moment of chaos and trying to capitalize and send a message to voters. Former President Donald Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson each posting statements on their social media accounts, blasting the Biden administration and Vice President Harris. Governor Greg Abbott is invoking the mishandling of the border in a post on X, talking about the idea of Kamala Harris being elected the next president. Now, Biden's decision was not a shock for two more local voices. Our Zaria Oates spoke with a local professor who knows Joe Biden personally and also spoke with a local congressman who's been vocal about the president.
States Joe Biden.
President Joe Biden backing out of his presidential campaign less than 1 month after his rocky debate performance.
This lie about somehow there's all this.
His withdrawal comes as both Republicans and Democrats push for him to bow out.
Most of us have been expecting this now.
Republican Congressman Chip Roy from New Braunfels even filed a resolution calling on Vice President Kamala Harris to invoke the 25th Amendment, pushing for her to declare President Biden is unable to carry out his presidency.
Everybody with eyes saw it in the debate. They've seen it since the debate. And Democrats have just been struggling with the box that they created for themselves. I do not believe that the President of the United States has the mental capacity to be in charge of the nuclear codes.
And so
Trinity University professor Juan Sepulveda, who has worked with President Biden, says this is the right call.
He did the right thing. Very, very difficult decision to make for him and his family. And he was the only person who could make that decision.
A common thread between Sepulveda and Congressman Roy is the lack of surprise toward President Biden's endorsement of VP Harris.
It's not surprising. He picked her as vice president. She's stood by him. He's going to stand by her.
He could have easily have said, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let it play itself out. But he decided, no, this is the person I selected to be my number two. And I feel very proud of her. And I'm going to support her and do whatever I need to do to get behind her.
But the timing of President Biden's withdrawal brings another aspect to the table for the Democratic National Convention in just a few weeks.
And you're starting to hear a number of the Texas delegates who are like, this is the Biden-Harris ticket, and I'm behind the vice president. You've had some other folks who are saying, I'm going to think about it.
There are still several things unknown, including whether Republicans will challenge a name change on the ballot, who VP Harris will pick as her VP, and whether or not delegates will actually vote for Kamala Harris to be the Democratic nominee. Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Zaria and Devin. There's a lot of moving parts. So no, you at home have been voting online, and here's a look at the results. That's on your screen right now. The question, do you support President Biden dropping out of the race? Right now, 88% say yes. And thank you to everyone who voted.
All right, here's today's 9 at 9. After his highly criticized debate 3 weeks ago, President Biden dropped out of the 2024 race for the White House. In a letter addressed to the nation, the president wrote, quote, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term," end quote. President Biden says he'll address the nation this week to further explain his decision.
President Biden is throwing his support behind Vice President Kamala Harris as the next Democratic presidential nominee. Harris said, quote, "I am honored to have the president's endorsement and my intention is to earn and win this nomination," end quote. We're told she spent much of Sunday calling party leaders and others gathering support.
Former President Donald Trump had an immediate reaction to President Biden's decision to end his re-election bid. He posted on Truth Social that Biden was not fit to run for president and is not fit to serve. He also shifted his attacks to Harris and said he will fix the damage done by the Biden administration and will, quote, "make America great again."
Sources say the Democratic Convention Rules Committee is meeting Wednesday to quickly implement a framework to select a new nominee. The committee's co-chairs, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Democratic official Leah Daughtry, said they will work on a, quote, "open, transparent, fair, and orderly plan."
We're expecting to hear from Vice President Harris today at a previously scheduled White House event. As for what's next for her, in order to become the Democratic presidential nominee, she needs to win over delegates for next month's convention.
Overnight, Democrats reported a record amount of online donations in the hours after Biden's announcement, more than $50 million and counting. A New York Times analysis shows that before Biden dropped out, donations were at an average of less than $20,000 per hour. But after stepping down, they spiked to nearly $11.5 million in a single hour.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin is reportedly thinking about running for the Democratic nomination for president. He left the Democratic Party 2 months ago and declared himself an independent, but sources close to him say he might re-register as Democrat and run for president, now that President Biden has stepped aside.
The CrowdStrike outage prompted by a software update for Microsoft devices late Thursday into early Friday impacted millions of Windows devices, and its effects were felt through the weekend. According to tracking website FlightAware.com, more than 1,500 U.S. flights were canceled for a third straight day Sunday. CrowdStrike says it deployed a fix for the outage, but airlines have computers at thousands of gates that need to be individually manually rebooted.
Today, the Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatley will go before Congress for the first time to talk about how her agency failed to stop the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump last week. Since the shooting, Cheatley has been facing calls to resign from Republicans. And that's today's 9 at 9. Time right now, 9:09, and can you believe it? It is only 80 degrees out there. Still ahead on GMSA at 9.
A new hospital on the city's far west side is hoping that nature can help patients, visitors, and staff reduce stress and worries by giving them an outlet via their new courtyard. Sarah Costa went by the hospital and has that story coming up for us later in the show.
And taking a live look outside with our live cam. Those clouds there, they're going to bring us some much needed rain. Justin is going to tell us what time we should be getting ready for.
Welcome back. Justin's all smiles because that radar is moving.
Yes, we've got some activity on the radar this morning. It's just this week in general that looks pretty active. It's not going to be raining every day, everywhere. All day long, but there will be spots that get some heavy rain next couple days. So let's first start with the setup. We've got a weak frontal boundary that's headed south. You can kind of see that there on the top of your screen. So we're going to go forward in time, and this is how things kind of unfolded this morning. Right along that boundary, we've got showers and storms starting to take shape, and we've got clouds developing over San Antonio. So it's going to be rather cloudy, I think, today, especially with these clouds working in our direction. We also noticed we've got some showers and storms there along the coast. So everything's kind of converging on us. It's going to take some time, I think, for this energy to kind of reach us. But by the afternoon, all the ingredients should be there. So in theory, we should get some heavier downpours by, say, 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. 79 right now, 81 in New Braunfels, 81 Converse, 73 Bernie, 76 in Kerrville. And you see the clouds out there. I want to show you the radar up there around Junction and back along I-10 into Ozona. These storms have been very persistent. They haven't moved much. So they're dropping a ton of rain around Junction, probably on the order of 3 inches per hour, and they have been sitting there for a while. So Junction is going to be picking up a lot of rain. If you're headed northwest along Interstate 10, know that you'll run into that. And that's the kind of energy we're looking for, kind of work in our direction. So here's a look at the futurecast. And let's fast forward to noontime. Shows a couple of cells trying to take shape north of San Antonio still, with a lot of the activity out to our north and west here around Rock Springs, which is already starting to see some showers and storms as well. Then by 2 o'clock, kind of easy into the hill country here. And this is 5 o'clock dinner times where we start to see things maybe really take hold here in San Antonio. This is 7 o'clock, showing more showers and storms, and then kind of storms really blowing up there pretty late in the day. The models have kind of trended later with this development, but either way, this is going to be some pockets of heavy rain that will take hold here around San Antonio. And then as we get into tomorrow, still some showers and storms around tomorrow morning, and we may continue to see more throughout the day tomorrow with more development by the afternoon. So as I said, this is a pretty active pattern that we have here. And as far as rainfall goes, over the next, this is just 2 days, cumulatively speaking, 1 to 4 inches. Not everyone's going to see that much, but I'd say some of the heavier rainfall certainly could be upwards 3 to 4 inches but in general, maybe half an inch to an inch for everyone else. It's just going to be a matter of where those outflow boundaries are and where those storms really end up, where some of the heavier rain ends up. We're not looking for severe weather, so I think the main threat here is going to be some localized flooding. 88 degrees at 11 o'clock. We will bring rain chances up to 60% later today. Again, everything's kind of trending later, but high temperatures will be held down because of clouds and that potential for rain, a high of 90 today. The extended forecast will go 60% tomorrow, 40% chance Wednesday and Thursday. And then I think some decent rain chances Friday and Saturday as well. So this entire forecast features rain chances each and every day. Odd for late July, but we've earned it.
When do you think we'll see the drought map updated with the rain that we're getting this
So that comes out on Thursday, and it accounts for everything that happens through Tuesday. So everything that happens through tomorrow will be taken into account when that comes out on Thursday.
So we won't even have a real look at what that makes.
But I think we'll cut into it. I think it'll look good on Thursday, or at least a little bit better than it has.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Justin. Time right now, 9:17, 79 degrees out there.
Coming up after the break, we're going to be speaking with a political science professor from St. Mary's University about President Biden's decision to step aside from the presidential race and what's coming next for the Democratic Party.
Welcome back. Well, we are 28 days away from the Democratic National Convention, and the news yesterday that President Biden will not seek re-election is raising a lot of questions about what happens next.
This morning, St. Mary's University political science professor Ian Smith is joining us to give us a better understanding of what happens next.
Hey, good morning, Professor Smith. First of all, the selection of the nominee will be left up to delegates and not really voters. Why is that? And what does that mean for the DNC next month?
Good morning. So I think that's one of the big questions that's been floating around is, voter, obviously the voter, we think of the presidential election as something led by voters. With the current process, we see a candidate dropping out of the race after the primary. So President Biden has clearly won the vast majority of the delegates in the primary process, but now he's not finishing the race as it turns out. So I think the first thing we have to think about here is that the presidential election process, whether it's the Electoral College or the primary process, is what we consider in political science to be an indirect election process. We don't actually vote for the president directly, whether it's in the primary or the general election. What we instead see is that, in the Democratic and Republican primary system, voters in the primaries vote for delegates who are then pledged to vote for a particular candidate. So in the instance of the Democrats, there's close to 4,000 delegates that were at stake in the primary process. Biden won 3,900 of those 4,000. So in some ways, it does make this easier than if we were directly voting, because the delegates are able to then make a decision if something happens to a candidate or something comes up down the line, such as a candidate selecting to not continue the race.
A lot of key groups that we're all going to be looking at. Now, Professor Smith, there is what's known as that Democratic Good Conscience Clause. Can you explain what that is?
So in many ways, we see, this is the Democratic Party sets up a lot of internal rules to understand how, and the Republican Party does as well for its race, rules to guide the delegates through the process. So each of these rules kind of comes out of the history of a past convention. The Democrats had a lot of problem with undemocratic selection prior to the 1968 convention. There was a revolt of the delegates in the 1980 convention. And so after that, we see the Democrats put in place a rule that essentially seeks to soften that guideline. So in doing so, the delegates are supposed to vote for their pledged candidate. But if they can't do so in good conscience, essentially, they are free to make the decisions as a delegate on their own. So in the case where a candidate, in some ways, there's, in light of a candidate making a turn, doing something bad, getting convicted of a crime, some other ways disqualifying themselves. In this case, we see a candidate who has voluntarily stepped out and has essentially released his delegates to vote under their conscience. So while I think the rule helps the Democrats have more flexibility within the convention, as opposed to the delegates being sworn to vote for someone, and kind of shields them from some of the hairier rule questions that may come to play.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And with only 4 months away until the actual election day, what does Harris or anyone else wanting to run on the Democratic side need to do to win over voters?
So in some ways, I think Vice President Harris has a bit of an advantage in this because she's already been campaigning for re-election as vice president. Right now, the race is is showing some mixed pictures. While we see the fundamentals of this race tend to favor the Democratic candidate, we have low unemployment, strong economic growth, and relatively stable economy. The polls have been favoring Donald Trump repeatedly. So it's still early to tell what's going on. So anyone who takes over this, obviously the vice president has a leg up because she's been running already. Anyone else who may want to enter the race, which we haven't really seen yet today, is going to have to essentially, I would liken it to jumping out of a car, hitting the ground running at 30 miles per hour. They've got a lot of catching up to do in this aspect. So, the key thing for anyone who wants to win, any Democrat who wants to win the White House is going to be making sure to get that 270 electoral votes. That's going to mean winning most of the states that Biden won in 2020 and those states that Trump barely won in 2016. So we're talking places like, the Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, maybe even North Carolina, Nevada, and Arizona. So these swing states, as we tend to call them, are really going to be the key. And Biden's been underwater in those states compared to where he was in 2020. So the next candidate, the ultimate Democratic nominee is going to have to turn that around to be able to win the election.
It's going to be interesting since already a lot of people have made up their minds. Now, local and state leaders have already spoken out since President Biden made this big announcement. Has anything surprised you so far?
For the most part, nothing's really been incredibly surprising. I think the biggest story so far has been the story of unity within the Democratic Party. I haven't seen, we've seen most leaders, most state level parties jump behind the vice president in this process. We haven't seen anyone really, at most, there's been no outward vocal opposition. Some people have just not said anything because they're going to wait to see it play out. But most of the other candidates who may be in the running for who we've talked about as potential replacements, most of them jumped behind the vice president going forward. So if anything's been surprising, it's been the degree of how the party's gone from disunity to unity. We'll see, it's Monday morning after a Sunday afternoon announcement. We'll see what the rest of the week holds, of course.
I think it's going to be a very exciting week. Thank you so much, Dr. Ian Smith from St. Mary's University. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you. 927, 79 degrees. There's a lot more coming up on GMSA at 9.
Including one hospital in San Antonio that is proving that a touch of nature can make a world of difference for patients and visitors.
Plus, ESPN dropped their list of the top 100 athletes since 2000, and that includes a number of our San Antonio Spurs, past and present. Find out who made the list coming up in a few minutes.
Hey there, we're taking a live look outside with live cam 931, 80 degrees out there, very cloudy. If you were lucky yesterday, you got some rain, and you might be lucky again today because rain chances are very high for us today.
They're going up. Looks pretty good a little bit later this afternoon and this evening, but we start with a picture here, You know, there's a lot going on in the world right now. We just love looking at cute dogs. This is Chapo and Cookie.
Chapo.
They are new and proud parents, and you can just see it in their face. They're very proud.
They look tired.
Look at the little babies there. I love that. Thank you so much for sending in that picture to our KSAT Connect. And as we look at the pollen count for today, if you missed it earlier, molds are very high at 13,170. Molds are going to stay elevated this week. They will be the problem all week long with rain in the forecast. And the authority radar does show where that rain is right now. Still well off to our north and west. But Junction just checked in some of the radar estimates. 3 to 4 inches of rain already this morning with those thunderstorms that have not moved much. But they should make some advancement off to the south and east. And a little bit later today, we'll get some of that lift here locally with some higher rain chances later this afternoon and this evening. 60%, in fact. High temperatures today around 90. And we're tweaking the forecast just a little bit next couple days. We'll talk about it coming up here in just a couple minutes, guys.
All right, thanks, Justin. Well, today we are expected to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris at a previously scheduled White House event. Her first time speaking since President Biden announced that he's dropping out of the race for the White House.
So what's next for Harris? ABC's Allison Kosick looks at her role in the Biden administration and what is still to come.
After serving as California's first female attorney general and making headlines for enacting criminal justice reform, Kamala Harris went onto the Senate. But it was this moment in 2019, taking on Joe Biden at the presidential debate, when Harris stepped into the national spotlight.
There was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Years after that moment blasting Biden for opposing federally ordered busing in the 1970s, Biden is now looking to pass the torch to Harris, endorsing her to become the party's nominee.
This moment is sort of built for someone like her, running against a convicted criminal, a former prosecutor.
Supporters pointing to this moment at the 2020 vice presidential debate.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
But to become the presidential nominee in 2024, Harris needs to win over delegates for next month's convention.
Democratic delegates to the Democratic Convention, they are the decision maker. All of them are now free under Democratic Party rules to vote their conscience.
She's been hitting the campaign trail hard. She's been raising money. I'm confident that she will have the delegates. She will have the resources.
Harris has been a vocal defender of abortion rights. On Israel, she's called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, saying too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, which could help her fare better among Arab American voters than President Biden. But Harris has faced sharp criticism for her role in handling the border crisis. She took heat even from members of her own party when she said this during talks in Guatemala.
To folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come.
As for her push to win over delegates and avoid an open convention, a DNC roll call is expected early next month. The DNC Rules Committee says it will meet this Wednesday to discuss next steps in selecting a new nominee. Allison Kosick, ABC News, New York.
And this is a story we're going to be talking about for a while, so we've been reaching out to you all at home to see what you think. We have another poll question online for you. Will President Biden's move increase Democratic chances of winning against Trump?
And you can cast your vote right now on social media, the KSAT social media, obviously, and by heading to ksat.com/poll. You can see 70% of those who have voted already are saying yes. All right, let's switch gears now. A few days ago, ESPN released their list of top 100 athletes since year 2000.
And while household names from all kinds of sports made it onto the list, so did a few current and former San Antonio Spurs players. Here's a snapshot of some of our local guys who made the list, as well as some other familiar names. Ranked highest, of course, was Spurs alum Tim Duncan at spot number 16. He managed to nudge one spot ahead of Cole High School alum and overall legend Shaquille O'Neal.
And other Spurs and former Spurs on the list included recent addition Chris Paul at spot number 83, and former Spur Kawhi Leonard made the list at spot number 85.
So let's start off with our leading former Spur, Tim Duncan. Timmy beat out other legends like Kevin Durant, Dwayne Wade, and Shaq for his spot on the list. And it's not hard to see why. As a 14-time NBA All-Star player with 4 championships to his name, as well as a spot in the NBA Hall of Fame. And while a lot of his big wins like the 1999 championship happened before the cutoff year of 2000, he had enough accomplishments in the 21st century to cement his place on the list.
And from one former Spur to one incoming Spur, Chris Paul claimed his spot at number 83 on the list by simply being one of the best passers and point guards in the NBA. CP3 was named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team alongside Duncan in 2021, NBA Rookie of the Year in 2006, and a 12-time NBA All-Star player. Paul's recent signing with the Spurs put him in a good position to help build a lot of up-and-coming Spurs like Victor Wembanyama and Keldon Johnson.
Another guy who previously wore the black and silver on the list was the big Kawhi Leonard at number 85 at 6'7" and a wingspan of almost 8 feet. Leonard is superhuman on and off the court. In his 7 years with the Spurs, he made Finals MVP during the 2014 NBA Finals, 2 NBA All-Star placements, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, and a spot in the 2012 All-Rookie First Team. After the Spurs, Leonard earned himself another championship and was honored as the Associated Press's 2019 Athlete of the Year.
Okay, so now you're asking, why didn't the Spurs' newest powerhouse, Victor Wembanyama, make the list? Well, the simple answer is, well, he's already made a name for himself. He and others still have many years to build their legend. ESPN said folks like Wemby and other young stars will likely be in the next top 100 list in 2050. That's a long time from now. And with folks like Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes behind him, Wemby may just rank higher than Timmy Duncan did this go around.
They're in our list and in our hearts.
They're always number one.
Yes. Time now, 9:38, 80 degrees. You're watching GMSA at 9.
And coming up next, a Far West Side hospital is doing their best to make sure a part of their treatment plan. Sarah Costa shows us how a touch of greenery is helping patients and visitors heal.
Welcome back. Whether you're a patient or family member, staying at the hospital can be mentally and physically stressful.
It's why Baptist Health System's newest hospital in the Far West Side has built a courtyard in the center of campus so that families, patients, and staff can have access to nature at all times.
Sarah Costa visited Westover Hills Baptist Hospital off Loop 1604 and Wiseman, where doctors and nurses are hoping to use nature to help with the healing of their patients and combat stress.
Hospitals can be scary and stressful for everyone, but what if I told you you could be surrounded by nature? From your patient room window to access to an outdoor trail. It's what you'll find at the furthest west hospital in San Antonio proper, Westover Hills Baptist Hospital off Loop 1604 and Wiseman Boulevard, set to open in August. Built to serve our growing community on the city's Far West Side, it's also where city meets hill country. Its design incorporating nature was intentional. Combat stress and help with healing.
Our campus is 72 acres. We're proud to say that 2/3 of that remains untouched, green space. We did everything in our power to preserve and protect every tree that we could.
CEO Brady Phillips explains the campus was built around a courtyard and trail area that can be accessed and viewed from most parts of the building.
We have those not just outdoor views, but a lot of our rooms in the hospital have those same views as well. But we just definitely took a lot of focus on sight lines and things like that to make sure that we had a relaxing environment.
Why? Because nature heals. Research shows that exposure to green spaces is associated with a range of positive health outcomes, and the physicians here take it seriously.
There's actually a field or a term called biophilia, which talks about the interaction of nature and the good things that it brings to human beings. So, like I said, it affects you not just physically, but also emotionally. We know that patients and people in general, being around nature grounds you, calms you. It helps to reduce blood pressure. It helps to reduce anxiety.
Not to mention improves mental health and can lead to a faster recovery from illness or surgery.
So psychologically, spiritually, it does affect the patients in the sense that, yeah, I can get better and I can move forward. And, this is kind of a new beginning for a lot of them, which is a really strong driver towards health.
The courtyard is filled with native heat and drought-resistant plants and trees, and even though this space looks barren now, it will be seeded with native grasses and wildflowers that come next spring will be in full bloom. You see that pond behind me? We're about a football field away from the hospital, and eventually a trail will be built from the hospital to the pond so everyone has access to it. Everyone from patients recovering, visiting families, and even staff that Dr. Moen says she needs throughout the day.
Just being able to be outside of the beeping and the constant commotion that's going on inside the hospital, to come out and have a moment of peace and listen to just sounds of nature, I think is a huge relief.
Sarah Acosta, KSAT 12 News.
And you know that those plants and our plants are going to be very happy today and this week because of all the rain that we're getting.
I love to see the staff in the dirt, though, like getting dirty and like dirt. That's a nice story and perfect for Sarah.
It is. It's right up her alley. And yes, she'll be excited about the rain too, because the gardens are going to be growing nicely. The plants are going to be all green, like grass is green. It's all good. Let's first start with the rain chances. So here's what we're thinking. And honestly, we've kind of moved this back a little bit just because the movement that we're seeing right now. But I think rain chances actually kind of peak late this afternoon and this evening at 60%. We're keeping a close eye on what's transpiring to our north and west. It looks like it's going to be a slow process for the activity to make it down here, but it will, and I think we'll have a good shot at rain, as I said. Right now, those showers and storms are up here around Junction, just north of Rock Springs. Let's go ahead and put this into motion for you. And you can see that they are slowly moving off to the south and east, with a lot of lightning strikes involved here too. The rain has been very heavy around Junction. It's starting to move a little bit closer to Rock Springs. It's on your doorstep. It's trying to move towards you, but you haven't seen any rain yet in Rock Springs. Junction and Ozona have been the places that have seen the really heavy rain. I'm going to pause it here, and I want to show you actually, let's do the 12-hour rainfall total. And you can see it has just been piling up there around Junction. Pause it, and we can take a look at just how much rain the radar is estimating. 2.7 inches, maybe up to 3 inches in some isolated spots. And that's just been this morning. So it kind of shows you what we have to look forward to. I'm going to switch it over to our other radar here, and we'll take that off. And I'll show you that we also have some storms that are developing along the coast down around Victoria. This is also some heavy rain. So we're kind of flanked by the rain right now. We're just going to get some clouds. But eventually, as I said, I think rain chances will pick up. 80 right now, 81 in New Braunfels, 81 in Converse, mid-70s for Bernie and Kerrville. And there's a look at the futurecast. And this is one of our reliable computer models. It's been doing pretty well lately. And it shows that by noontime, we're starting to see some of this activity maybe get a little bit closer to Kerrville, again, Rock Springs, and then slowly but surely making its way down towards San Antonio as this weak boundary shifts south. Now, all indications are it will start to get kind of a broken line of showers and downpours by 5, 6, 7 o'clock. And this is where it could be pretty heavy, even after sunset, which typically we would see these things kind of die down. But I think there's enough energy here to kind of keep things going. And this is where we could see some minor street flooding. And we'll watch to see if these kind of hang around into tomorrow morning. Now, if they do, and this is kind of a new development, then tomorrow afternoon may not be as active because the atmosphere would be kind of worked over. These are all the things we got to pay attention to here with our forecast, but I still think we have a decent chance for rain coming up on your Tuesday too. Really, this entire stretch all week long, we've got some good rain chances. And if you're talking about accumulations over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, 1 to 4 inches, I would say, would be kind of the average, depending on where that heavy rain sets up. Some people could get up to 3, 4 inches of rain, which again could cause a little bit of minor flooding in spots. As we look long term, this area of low pressure still kind of hangs around, moves a little bit east Wednesday and Thursday, so that kind of robs some of our moisture away. But that heat high is still staying away even into the weekend. So we're still going to get scattering of showers and storms in the extended forecast, which is pretty impressive. 88 Tuesday, 89 Wednesday, 88 Thursday. Same story going into the weekend. You see rain chances basically there across the board. Wow. Love to see it. But check back with us with the Authority Radar. You can check on the app too, and we'll keep you updated throughout the day, whether it be online, on social media, or on the app.
Packing that umbrella today just in case.
Have it with you. Again, you may not need it till later today, but have it with you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Justin. Time right now, 9:50, 80 degrees out there.
Let's take a look at the San Antonio Zoo Cam.
The flamingos, look at them. I think they know the rain is coming, so they're out there. Oh, don't get feisty now. You see them fighting? Oh, they're fighting. It is always a great day to go to the zoo. Just make sure you take that umbrella.
We'll be right back.
Hey, listen, we know buying groceries can be a struggle for many families these days. So have you heard of bulk sharing?
It's when families and friends buy their groceries together to save money. The Wall Street Journal first reported on this story.
ABC's Elizabeth Schultze tells us how it works.
Banding together to buy in bulk. At big box stores like Costco and Sam's Club, families are joining forces, splitting up bulk grocery purchases to save on their spending. Marissa Verna splits bulk items in her grocery cart with her sister Jill.
I don't need 40 bags of this toddler snack. Like, do you want to go halves on it? And I'll just send over 20 bags for you and I'll keep 20 bags and vice versa.
For Christy Davies' family of 5 in New Jersey, it's a strategy that's helped reduce food costs by nearly $75 every week.
When I buy in bulk, sometimes it's too much. So I'll share it with Christy.
Christy coordinates bulk grocery runs with her mom, Janet. They split the bill and then divvy up food like cantaloupe and bananas.
In my mind, I'm like, is this something that I can wait and we can get at Sam's Club? Because I'd rather not spend that price from the grocery store if I can help it.
New government data shows grocery prices are stabilizing after rapid increases the past 3 years. But the typical family is still spending about 11% of its disposable income on food, the highest level in 3 decades. But experts warn shoppers shouldn't always assume that buying in bulk is cheaper.
If your group are the type that would go and buy very expensive pre-wrapped charcuterie boards or pre-cut vegetables, and then you try to split that up, the price that you are actually saving isn't that much relative to you just going and purchasing the vegetables or the meat on your own.
That's really interesting. This weekend I went to Costco, and I haven't gone to Costco in like years, but it was intense. There's a lot of people.
It's stressful.
Yes. You have to go prepared, but a lot of people know where to go, what aisles to go to. So
I'm rolling up with my calculator trying to determine the price per whatever by pound.
Not surprised.
Anyway. Hey man, food's expensive these days. Anyway, let's look at the radar real quick. We've got showers and storms up there to our north and west. These are going to continue to slowly move in our direction. So we've got higher rain chances later this afternoon and this evening. Keep an umbrella handy and know that the evening commute could be affected.
Yeah, drive safely out there. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at noon.